Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Scary Ritter, and with me is Halla Swan. It's spooky season, Swan. It's October. We're getting scary. Did I scare you?
So much.
Oh,
so much.
Terrified. No, I'm Perry. That's Swan. We are the hosts of This Is My Bourbon Podcast.
I'm shaking in my flippers over here.
I thought I might get you with that one.
Yeah.
I can't believe it worked.
Yeah.
I think I had another pun for Swan, but I can't remember what it was.
There's so many. You wouldn't think so, but there is.
Yeah.
They just always come up.
Yeah, there really is. Anyway, if you're a first-time listener to the show, happy spooky season, everybody. And thanks for being here for the first time. If you have not yet already, please listen to the end of the episode and subscribe.
Yeah.
Follow us on social media as well, at My Bourbon Pod on all platforms. And also leave us a rating and a review. We like to read those nice reviews from nice people if you leave us that 5-star rating. And we'll read some of them out here on the show, which I think we might have one. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. So we'll do that at the end of the podcast. But, oh, shoot. We start every episode out with Flying Blind, and I am just now realizing we don't have one.
Whoopsie.
Well, that's okay. We're ramshackle as always. I'm like days away from having a child in my arms. So
Yeah, let's just grab
which means that
something
my
and
wife is about to
drink
give
it.
birth. That doesn't mean that I'm going to steal a child in a few days.
I'd hope not. I didn't personally make that jump, but I'm glad you clarified.
I should probably clarify that just in case. Just in case. Do you want to go with these samples maybe first?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go.
We'll
What
do
we
that.
got?
So what we're going to be drinking this whole episode is double oaked products.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're actually going to review anything unless we want to review that Woodinville.
I'm down. Have we done an official review on any Woodinville products?
I'm not sure that we have.
Maybe this will be the first one.
I think it's time. Yeah. So we've got this sample of, it's a double barrel weeder. And forgive me, I can't remember exactly who it was that sent it to us. It's been a few months. I apologize. Please let me know on social media and I'll rectify this at some point. But I truly apologize. We had talked about doing this double barrel episode for a while now, and we're finally getting around to it. And I think this kind of came about because we had never had a wheated double barrel before. And so they sent this. I feel so bad. What's it say? SB on the label?
I've got RB.
Oh, RB. RB.
All of them say RB.
Ragged Branch. Ragged Branch is where this is from.
So are these all?
They're all 3 Ragged Branch because it's all that wheated bourbon.
So are they all different products or?
No, it initially was being sent to us so you, Swan, you, Curtis, and I could try all of these together.
Yeah, there's another one that says "Congrats, Perry."
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know what that is.
Congrats, Perry.
Oh my gosh. I'm the worst. I am so sorry. I'm going to feel bad about this for a long time.
I'm gonna look to see if there's like a key for the "Congrats, Perry" thing. I'd be curious to find out what it is.
That might help. Ah! I found it! I found it. Oh, I'm so glad. It's from Brian. It's at Brian's Bourbon Bar on social media.
Nice.
He sent this to us all the way back in April. My goodness gracious.
As you can tell, we're on it over here at This Is My Bourbon Podcast.
Well, what you didn't hear was all the time that I cut out as I was looking for that that name.
Do you want to message him and see what this "Congrats, Perry" is?
I will do that. Yes. But I'll do that as we're getting to drinking these. Yeah. We have 2 samples, right? 2 or 3 samples. 3. Awesome. Well, I'll take one of them. Thanks. I also don't know why I passed you the bag before I poured mine.
You're just nice like that.
I try to be. So this is the Ragged Branch bourbon. It's wheated. It's double barreled. I've never had this before. Let's see if we can find any more information about this. It's from Virginia. Interesting. Doesn't say anything about whether or not it's straight. Oh wait, nope. Yes, it does. 90 proof as well. Whoa. Okay, that's an odd nose.
Ooh. Okay, that's a lot of corn.
There's also a lot of malt on the nose.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jephthah Creed.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
Totally.
maltiness, kind of has that Bloody Butcher corn thing going on that I just associate with them. It may not actually be the Bloody Butcher corn.
Yeah.
Does it say anything about their corn?
Let me try to pull some information up.
It's definitely kind of devoid of some rye spice.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
There's just nothing there.
They said heavy malt and oak on the nose. So, yeah.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much about their...
About the mash bill.
Yeah, or at least what goes into the... or what type of corn goes into it. But Bourbon and Banter says it's 66% corn, 17% wheat, and 17% barley.
Oh, so it is up there in the barley.
Yeah. Aged just over 4 years, 3 years in 25-gallon barrels, number 3 char, and 1 year in 53-gallon barrels, number 4 char. Wow.
Okay.
That is different. That is really different.
This is confusing, man. I keep nosing it.
It's that corn and the malt on the nose, I think, that's really conflicting.
Ooh.
That just tastes like a Whopper. Not the burger, the candy.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. And it's weird. There's a little bit of fruitiness that comes in about halfway through the palate.
Yeah.
Finish is, it's fine.
There's not much to it.
Doesn't hang around.
No. I think, and this is the only experience I've ever really had with a double barrel wheated bourbon, but it seems like something about the rye might take on more character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they did this just to say that they've done it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that plenty of other people have tried, and they're like, it's not really my thing.
I don't dislike this. I think there's plenty of merit to it.
Yeah.
But it's so different. You gonna be okay?
Yeah. No, it is confusing.
Yeah, I don't mind it though. I really don't mind it.
No, that's definitely a good kind of experimental release.
Yeah, and a good way to introduce the show as we do Flying Blind. It's also a good time to ask you, Swan, what have you been drinking recently?
What have I been drinking? I've had some 1792 high rye recently.
Oh, okay.
Been having some of that. Been just finishing up sample bottles. Had the rest of the chicken cock rye.
Nice.
From, a couple... Or,
chicken cock rye.
Yeah. Didn't we have some chicken cock rye samples?
Oh, sorry. My brain was thinking fighting cock.
Oh, no. No. Had some of that. I don't know. It's just been kind of having this and that, a bunch of different samples. Haven't really had anything outside of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, a ton of Wild Turkey 101. Whoops.
Well, we did get to go over and hang out with Chad and Sarah yesterday.
Yes, all of the things. We had all of the things.
Yes. The Copper and Kings Bardstown Bourbon Company finished a special release. The new Yellowstone 2020 Armagnac finished. Do you have the whole
Toasted,
list? Yeah, there we go.
The
got the
Justin's House of Bourbon
Yes.
release. We got to try an Old Forester single barrel strength.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much it as far as stuff we tried with them.
Yeah, I brought some bottles over too for them to try.
Yeah, we had a whole lot.
We had a lot.
Whole
Oh,
lot.
and their new cocktail.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know if they've made any information about that public yet.
No, I think the only thing they've said is on their live stream yesterday that they made a new cocktail and it's 100% by them.
Yes.
And it's
right.
sweet. So,
it's really good, though.
yes, it is very good.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what other people think about it.
Yeah, I want
as
people
well.
to make their own version of it even, like maybe mess around with it a little bit.
Yeah. We also just got our samples in from Heaven Hill of the new C920 releases for the end of the year.
Yes, we did.
Maybe I'll review them this week. I don't know.
Maybe. Live streams.
Who's to say?
Live streams coming up.
Maybe I'll have a baby by then.
True.
And maybe I won't be doing a live stream for a little while. I don't know.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. So, we'll see. But I also did 101 day with Clifton on my stream and his. Well, we drank some non-barrel pick single barrels on his stream. But I will also say, I've been meaning to bring this up for a while, but and this is not really a what I've been drinking, but kind of a what I've been doing recently. Over the past month, pretty much, I've guested on 3 different podcasts. Mm-hmm. So there was Alphabet Flight, which is a Marvel podcast where the host Jesse talks about different Marvel characters throughout the history of the line of their comics, and it's always a fun time, especially if you're big into the nerd world. And I always enjoy doing that. He releases like 3 a week. They're all pretty short, like 20-minute episodes. But I was on that back probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I also guested on Tell Me I'm Wrong, which is one of my new favorite local shows. Those guys are great. We talked about some of the weirder bourbon cocktails that you could make, outlandish bourbon cocktails, and they were pretty interesting. That's all I'm going to say. And then the episode that I guested on this week was with the guys at Film and Whiskey. We talked about This Is Spinal Tap.
Oh, okay.
And how much we love that movie. We also reviewed Fighting Cock.
Nice.
So, yeah, go and check all those episodes out. Go support those guys. They're great at what they do. Really, really a fun time listening to them. Yeah, different from what our show format is like, of course. I mean, that's pretty obvious. We do our own thing here at This Is My Bourbon Podcast. But regardless, go listen to all that. You should do it. You should get into it. We should also get into some news.
What do we got, man?
You are coming into the news pretty blind as my voice cracks a little bit.
Yeah, I broke my glasses. Just kind of winging it.
Kind of sad news. Not I mean, it's not like end of the world sad news, but Fred Minnick stepped down from Bourbon Plus as the editor-in-chief.
Okay.
Carla Carlton is going to continue she's going to be his successor. Excuse me. And he is still going to contribute to the magazine. But he seems to be focusing more on just different, kind of what he's always been doing with, like, you know, his writing, with his books, but also, you know, seems to be getting a little bit more into the visual side of media too.
Yeah.
So, and he's still leaving his podcasts untouched. I mean, he's still sticking with those. But overall, it seems like this is a pretty big shift for him, especially since this was a huge dream that he had and was so passionate about it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy to me, man.
Yeah, but he still gets to see it go on.
He does.
You know, and he still gets to be like, hey, I put my stamp on that. You know? And that's sometimes that's enough for people, and it just depends on the person.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about this. We did a thing for American Whiskey Magazine.
Yeah.
We were featured in there.
Yeah, we were in there.
As part of a bunch of other whiskey podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Peggy No Stevens reached out to us. And
she's the best, man.
Yeah. Mary Ann Eves is on the cover. It's the most recent issue. I think it's issue 10. So go snag a copy if you can find it. I've been meaning to talk about this on the podcast for a while. We just do so many things.
So many little things.
Like a barrel pick that's only available to Patreons.
Yeah.
That's coming out at the end of December and being picked in a few weeks.
That's some of the things.
That's some of the things we do.
Yeah.
You see, I'm trying to squeeze in all the things that I've realized I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's almost like I need to make a list.
Lists are nice. Yeah.
Could be worse things. Anyway, I wish Fred all the best. I know that he's going to do great things, whatever his endeavors are, and he started a really great bourbon magazine. Bourbon Plus is amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, just kind of breaking down what all he does and what all he has his hands in. Whew, I don't know how he does it, man.
It's pretty wild.
It is a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is that. Oh, man. The newest Woodford Reserve goes on sale today.
That got announced a while ago.
It got announced a long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember talking about this like at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Maybe end of last year.
Yeah.
I don't even remember exactly. But this is the Baccarat edition? I don't know. Made from Woodford, aged for an additional 3 years in French oak cognac casks, and bottled in a custom Baccarat crystal decanter that, according to the distillery, takes 5 days to make.
Mm-hmm. It is one of the prettiest bottles. It's starting to rival some of
gorgeous.
the Macallan 40+ year bottles.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of those?
Yeah.
The Macallan 65
Real
bottle
nice.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. This is a $2,000 bottle of bourbon.
Yeah, it's up there. And I've seen a couple people say that stores have received multiple bottles. It's like, what are you gonna do with it? I've seen them in duty-free shops.
One to open, one to keep.
Yeah.
This is perfectly tailored for duty-free shops, though.
It is. It's perfectly tailored for duty-free shops.
It is perfectly tatered as well.
That's also there. But that's the thing, is it's still Woodford, man.
Yeah. It's Woodford plus 3 years in a different cask. The big thing is just the bottle. It's just the decanter that it comes in. And even then, it's seems like a lot.
I'm going to be honest with you, not to name names, but a certain distillery put an eagle on top of their bottle and inside their freaking bottle.
And inside. Now,
and
that's commitment.
In a box with a light. I'm not saying, Woodford, that you need to just completely step up your game, but you got to add a little something to the presentation. It's not holding up.
Yeah, everybody should follow the what.
I'm thinking they should put 3 eagles. That's all I'm saying. Just go off the deep end. 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
You got to step up their game.
You've really thrown me for a loop there, Swan.
Yep.
I don't know why. Anyway, this is insane. It's so much money. It's wild. Everybody says it tastes great, though.
Fantastic.
It's the same issue I had with the old St. Nick.
Yes.
Last week. Well, not the same issue. That's a whole different thing. I mean, really, they're pulling it from cracking barrels that are falling apart and syrupy and black, and just 17 years doesn't. Never mind. I don't want to get into it. This is different.
I think
in many
the real
ways.
issue is none of us have more than about $100 to spend on a bottle of whiskey
at any given time.
Really thinking about it, and that's really pressing your luck to even get to the 100 mark with me.
I'd be making calls to the bank.
Yeah. If I get over $100 on a bottle of whiskey, my bank is calling me "Are you all right? Are you using your card? Can you verify this purchase?" They're wanting to know.
Yeah. This is clearly a charge, though, right? I mean, this is going on the credit card.
Yeah.
This isn't going on your debit card.
Yeah, and Capital One, it's just run it up, buddy. Yeah.
Speaking of Woodford, we should have some of that double oaked over there.
We should.
If you're okay with that.
I'm all right with this.
I don't mind the Ragged Branch.
I don't. Opening up did it well. This has been in a sample bottle for a good while.
It has. Yeah. We'll move on to our next bit of news as we are pouring. Pinhook's second release in the Bourbon War Vertical Series is going to be out here soon. We talked about this a while back, but this is going to be the 5-year. The previous one was 4 years old. It's still retaining the mash bill of 75% corn, 20.5% rye, and 4.5% malted barley. This is going to be bottled at 104 proof instead. No word on the size of the release, but it's MGP juice.
Yeah. I will say, I've gone into a couple of liquor stores. I'm not going to name any names, but they have really pressed on some bourbon drinkers I've seen in the bourbon aisle. Like, hey, this is what they're doing with this release. Like, they're super knowledgeable on it. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is nuts because a lot of times it's like, at least when I was in the little Kroger Wine and Spirits for a little bit, like, I had to learn about each one to press it, and like the bottle itself is just so weird and interesting. You pick it up and you're like inclined to learn about it. Mm-hmm. So this whole like vertical process is nuts. The hardest thing to explain, honestly, is the wax coloring.
Yeah, there's that whole visual style guide basically that they put out on social media. But even then. Who's gonna remember all that?
No, I'm not. Honestly, they should just post a little key right next to it.
So this is really interesting too. Angel's Envy Cast Strength this year is going to be available in all 50 states.
Oh, I didn't know it wasn't previously.
Yeah, previously.
Don, you're welcome.
Congratulations. It is going to be about 17,400 bottles. Let's see. What's the proof going to be on this? Oh, 120.6.
Nice.
Dang. Yeah. Not bad.
Have you had one of those?
One of the cast strengths?
Yeah.
I don't think I have, actually.
I've been able to try one. It is exponentially better than the normal release.
I believe it. Something about adding that water just doesn't do it. Right.
No, and that, and plus, like, just the whole rigmarole of the thing. Like, you pull it out of this nice wooden box. It's like it feels like a more substantial bottle. It's the same bottle, but you pop the cork and you pour it, and it's so much darker.
Yeah,
that's the one thing you notice immediately. Like, I've seen Knob Creek, the 100 proof, and I've seen the 120 proof, and there's not a huge difference in color. I mean, there's some, but it's not massive. With this, it's like you just went to the Lowe's and you're like, oh, I'm looking at these shades. Let me walk 15 feet that way, and then I'll find this darker shade. Like, it is a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's really good. I recommend trying one. It is so pricey though.
Yeah, it's pretty up there at about $200 MSRP. So, not something I would be more keen to pick up than say one of the antique collection products, but.
If you found the antique collection at retail, you could get 2 of them for the price of that.
That is true. Yeah, it's a lot for one bottle.
It is.
How about some releases, Swan?
Hit me with them. Let's go.
Well, how about the Calumet Farm 14-year-old single rack black Kentucky straight bourbon?
That is a lot of descriptors. Didn't they just put out a 14?
Yeah, but yeah, but I guess this is different in that it's just from one rack or one rick.
I will give them this. Apparently, the Calumet has sat on the shelves for years and years and years, and then they put that 14 out in a different and they put that 14 out in a different bottle, and it flew
in a Pappy bottle.
Yeah, it just
that's literally what it looks like. It looks like a Pappy bottle.
It ran off the shelf, man.
It's a mash bill of 74% corn, 18% rye, and 8% malted barley. It's Barton juice.
Sounds familiar.
That's their. 96.2 proof, $120 a bottle.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Mm-mm.
Oh, they had a 12-year-old that came out under the single rack black label.
Huh. I don't think I've heard of that or seen that.
I don't really know. If I have either. Well, look, that's really all the releases, but we do have a couple of TTB labels that we get to talk about. This one I wasn't expecting. Wolcott which is another Barton brand, actually, is going to be putting out a bottled and bond product.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that Wolcott is, and that's Wolcott, is made by Barton, and I think it's only available at Total Wine. I think it's a Total Wine exclusive.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So, cool. I want to try it. I think the standard product's pretty all right. It's not earth-shattering,
Yeah.
but it's good. And I'm really excited about this next one
What we got?
as well. The 85th anniversary Heaven Hill bottle, single barrel,
That's what I've been waiting for.
13 years old, 107 proof. I'm pumped.
I want to know why.
Why what?
Did they come out with an 80th as well? It's the first time I've seen one like this.
I don't know. That's a good question. I've never heard anything about anniversary releases.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I'm not mad at all.
I want it. I want to. I mean, no, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of information on the bottle. Spicy with smoky finish, fading to mellow sweetness. Interesting.
And it's 107 proof.
107 proof. I'm here for it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I want this. I want this a lot. That's it. That's all the news we have for this week.
Yeah, it wasn't super heavy or anything.
No, but also we've got some more of these double barrels
We do.
to go
and
through.
We've got one that's probably widely considered like the double barrel.
The Woodford?
Yeah, the Woodford.
Yeah. I go back and forth with this one.
I do too. I feel like every bottle I get's a little different.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's not real consistent.
It smells like a coffee shop.
It does.
It just straight up reminds me of walking into a coffee shop. And it's one of not like a Starbucks. I'm talking like a local place.
Oh, yeah.
That is very artisanal.
The ones that roast their own beans.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. And they've got the real specific like sweetness additives, like the caramels and the vanillas and everything, and it just also has that air of coffee
Yeah.
to it as well.
It's like the one that we had one in Frankfurt that they had a cocktail slash
Would they have Swan?
cocktail. I cut it off a little short there.
No kidding.
They had some little cocktail thing where you could do your own coffee. They'd send you out with a grinder and coffee beans and let you do it and make it at the table.
That's wild.
And then you would blend it with something else. And at a certain point, I'm just like, they just hired me to be a bartender. That's what they did. I don't know. They also
No. What they did is they made you pay to be a bartender there.
Yeah. I feel like that's going to show up in the Last Call Lounge. I'm not cool with this.
I really hope that doesn't happen.
No, me neither. I don't want that.
Or maybe it does. Who's to say?
Last
Call available on patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for $5 a month.
Nice.
Who said that?
I don't know. Curtis.
Oh, thanks, Kurt.
Do you reach for this at all?
No.
Do you ever buy any of the picks of this?
No. Never. I never consider buying it.
The only one I've considered buying was Monica did a pick of this.
And it was a great pick, too.
Yeah.
She sent us samples, didn't she?
I think she sent you samples, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if I tried it. But, I just saw rave reviews. It was one of those things where somebody bought a bottle and they're like, oh, buddy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it was just gone.
And I know people love Woodford Double Oaked.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's just not my favorite thing in the world.
It is substantially better than this normal release.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all. It's just, I just don't find myself reaching for it.
No.
I don't mind double barrel products, though. I think in general, I like them pretty unanimously.
I don't like a lot of them.
Why's that?
I don't know. It's just, it almost imparts too much flavor for me a lot of the time.
Oh, you don't like when bourbon's too flavorful?
I don't know. It's just heavy-handed, you know?
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's just something about it where it's just too heavy-handed, and I get what they're going for, and I like it, but I want to put some water in it to kind of water it down a little bit, but most of the time the proof is not outrageous.
Yeah.
So watering it down doesn't really help. I don't know. And, you know, what I use this the most for, the Woodford Double Oaks, believe it or not, is bourbon balls.
Bourbon balls. Yeah, that's right.
This is my go-to bourbon ball bourbon.
This is my bourbon ball bourbon.
Yeah. and the only reason is because it's so heavy-handed. Because you get a ton of that oak flavor, and it's usually like bourbon balls that it just gets eaten up by the amount of sugar you put in.
Yeah.
It is literally just nuts, confectioner sugar, and bourbon.
Well, I think that, you know, there is kind of a nice pecan flavor as well on the back end of the palate.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not putting pecans on top of your bourbon balls, this is a good way to kind of complement that or counter it.
Yeah.
It's
You're also
solid.
doing it wrong. You need to put the pecans on the top. But
we'll have to put out one of your recipes when it gets closer to Christmas time.
yeah, I've got one that I've altered heavily, but it's good.
I remember there was one time, I think we were still in Richmond. You came over with like a tub of bourbon balls. Mm-hmm. Like a dozen or something. I can't even remember. And you're like, here you go. I was like, okay. And I ate them on my live stream.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one year where we made like 7 or 8 batches of bourbon balls and tried a bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
And by far, this one was like the best one. The most interesting was the Knob Creek smoked maple.
Oh, that one was wild.
Yeah, we really liked that one, but it's not a classic bourbon ball. And the worst one that we made a really small batch of is we tried Stag Junior with some bourbon balls.
I don't remember that.
There was a thing I made for me. I mean, I made probably in total about 10 to 12 of these bourbon bottles. Bourbon balls, and I was like, I'm gonna try this. Took one bite, horrible. It is so.
I don't doubt that.
It was so potent.
Yeah,
it was not good. I definitely recommend sticking anywhere between 90 to 100 for bourbon balls.
Yeah. How about another Brown-Forman product?
Let's do it. This one got a lot of acclaim when it first came out.
It did, but it's just let's just have some. It's the Old Forester 1910. Oh, I need to. Yeah. Was not my favorite when it came out.
No.
I can't even remember if we did a review of this.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either. What was it, 2018, the first year it came out?
2018, I think so, yeah. It was one of those things, too, where, like, everyone wanted it so much when it first came out. I remember Brown-Forman telling the distributors, we don't have any more. We're out.
that was odd.
We're done. So then everyone kind of caught wind of that and bought it up like crazy. Yeah. And they kept just putting it out. And I was like, that is the most genius marketing move I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And you know who does that more than anyone else? Nintendo. We're out. We don't have any. And then they just send
limited release
3 little, things of Wii's or some switches.
Of switches.
Yeah. I like the nose on this a lot better than the first time I had it.
It's basically just like a caramel green apple.
Yeah.
There's not much else.
It's very fall.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't dislike the nose by any means. But I think there was just such hype after the 1920 that this fell flat.
After taking a sip of it, it's very different than what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
This is mellow. It's not too heavy-handed, which is a problem I have with the Woodford.
Yeah.
I'm lacking some bite. So it's got a lot of flavor, but there's not much. The proof hound in me is wanting something else.
Yeah. You want some 1920?
Yeah.
You know what I've not done yet? I've not done 1915.
It's just a 50-50 blend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that right now. What are you sighing at me for?
I'm just so confused. Like the double barrel stuff, like there's something that I need to be able to pinpoint and just be like, I don't like that. But I know exactly what it is. It's the second barrel. I don't know.
Do you want some 1915?
Sure. I'll go for it.
So I guess what I'm getting from you is that you would rather just see double barrel kind of go away altogether.
I don't think I want it to go away. It has its place. It's a definite like progression for bourbon drinkers.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a
fair.
lot of finishing that I enjoy. So technically that is a double barrel.
Yeah.
Tried one the other day. The Armagnac finished Yellowstone is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't think I like the standard, double oaked. So that maybe I would be okay with leaving.
Is there any distillery that you would want to see do a double barrel experiment or product that doesn't have one? Because I'd love to see Wild Turkey do one.
Wild Turkey would be interesting. The only thing they've done in that vein has been the sherry cask finished.
I thought you were about to say that little gift set that they put out in like 2014 or 2015.
Oh,
where
no, I
it
don't
came,
know about that.
Well, you got me a box.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It had a mason jar and then a little oak spiral.
Yeah. Make your own, kiddo. Like, yeah, no, I don't recommend that. Like, I got it because there was just 2014 turkey and like all of them.
Yeah.
And it was the same price as buying a bottle, and you're like, you got a mason jar and a thing to throw away,
and a thing. I've still got the little oak spiral.
Oh, really?
I just saw it earlier. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll stick it in something that we don't like very much. Stick it in them hollow bourbon. Just leave it.
Oof. I don't know about that.
It's the most age it's ever seen.
I'd rather use it for something that we... I don't know. Maybe we should use it for something we don't like.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the double oaked. If I was going to see a distillery do it, I think I would like to see Buffalo Trace or Wild Turkey do it. And even then, like, I don't know. They might have done a double oaked something in
experimental collection.
Yeah. And as much as I hate to not have like the products that I'm searching for, there's a reason they're experimental. Somebody tasted them. Harlan Wheatley was probably just like, oh, this is good. It's worth putting out, but it's not worth making a regular thing.
It looks like they might have done a double barrel. Oh, I have to download this PDF to look and find out.
It's serious.
Let's see. Yeah, twice barreled. 2006, release number 2 of 3 was a twice barreled.
Gotcha.
It says, after aging this bourbon for 8 years and 8 months in a new charred white oak barrel, bourbon was put into another brand new barrel. Mash bill number 2 as well. Nice. I got bottled at 90 proof. Are all of the experimental collection bottles 90 proof?
I don't know.
It looks like most of them are. Oddly enough.
Just kind of spread it a little thin so everybody can get some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was like a failed experiment that we got to try? It was last year.
I don't know.
Mid-early last year.
I forgot what I had for breakfast this morning.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But it was like so old. I think it might have been like 25, 27-year-old BT. I honestly can't remember.
I remember like hearing about that, but I don't know if I actually tried it or not.
I could have sworn that I got you to try it, but Maybe I didn't. Doesn't matter. How about some 1915? How's this for you? Oh, it smells just like straight up coffee.
It's fine. It's fine. I get why people say to do it, but it's just so much Brown-Forman and coffee.
Yeah, I'd rather just have 1920.
I'd rather just have 1920. Or not Brown-Forman.
Or
Personal preference.
oof.
Yeah.
Big oof. Number 7 heavy char barrel. Holy crap.
It must have been some guy's like first day and he just burned the crap out of a barrel. And they're just like, do you think it'll hold liquid?
Sorry,
like,
I'm still looking at some of the experimental collection releases from Buffalo Trace. Number 7 char. I didn't know they went that high.
Highest I've seen is 6.
This is almost, they said it's almost 4 times longer than the standard 55-second char. They were then filled with Buffalo Trace Rye Bourbon Mash number 2 and left to age for 15 years. Jeez Louise.
Oh my gosh.
I want to try that one. I'm curious about that.
Could you imagine just being the first guy to do like a number 12 char or something?
The barrel just collapses.
And you just bring your boss and he's just like, boss, check it out. I did it. It's a number 12 char. He's like, oh, let's see it. And you just hold up 2 barrel rings. I'm just like, that's all that's left.
Joke's on you, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's impossible. I don't know who that voice was. It was like Harrison Ford.
Probably have to make the barrel thicker just with the stand getting burnt to that level.
There's a lot of releases from the experimental collection I didn't know about. I'm gonna have to go through this at a separate time. I'm getting distracted.
The only one I've had an opportunity to buy was a 6-grain.
Ooh. Huh.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I was kind of pressed for time and couldn't hang out, but Harlan Wheatley was showing up with like a case or 2 of it and was signing it.
Oh, nice.
At like Total Wine at the Lexington Green.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got to get to work. Crap. Maybe I should just call in sick. And it's like, you were there 20 minutes ago.
I'm sick. Yeah, I just threw up on my lunch break. I'm still throwing up right now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm surprised to learn that you just are not a fan of double oaked overall, or
I mean, they're all
what?
resoundingly fine.
That's fair.
But if I have the original product, usually I like it much better. The Woodford's the first one I've had where I'm just like, oh, this is better than the original product.
Yeah.
The rest of them I'm not big on. Like Devil's Cut is kind of some weird variation of twice whatever something. They pull all that extra out of the wood.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of the Jim Beam Double Oaked that much. Like, it's fine, but why would I not just go grab one of the Jim Beam single barrels on the shelf at like 108 proof?
Yeah.
I've just never been a huge fan. I don't know.
I'm not faulting you on your feelings by any means.
I do love it when they finish it in other stuff. I just don't like the second oak barrel.
Sure.
So, I don't know.
I'm not, I guess I don't feel as negatively about it as you do. Mm-hmm. I think I'm a little bit more indifferent, which is not necessarily the stance to take, but I think I might agree with you that it's fine, but I just don't think I dislike it.
Yeah.
I will say, I think I prefer toasted barrel finishes over just a straight up number 3, number 4 char double barreling.
Yes. And I also like some things where they've messed with the cask a little bit. So the Coopers 100, they do like a grooved cask. Mm-hmm. I actually like that a lot. I like that a lot better than the double oaked from Woodford. And they're both Brown-Forman, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't know, just not my cup of tea, I guess.
Well, I guess now we should review a double barreled product. This one is from Woodinville. Correct me if I'm wrong. This isn't actually a bourbon. This is a whiskey, right?
This is a blended whiskey, yes.
Interesting. Who knows what it could have in it?
Handmade in Washington.
I'm sure that there's something on the label about what might be in it.
I do like this. Prior to being coopered, the barrel wood is seasoned in open air, rain, wind, sun, and snow for 2 years, longer than most, softening the wood's harsh tannins.
There we go.
That's something interesting.
I think it's also interesting that the barrels are then slowly toasted and lightly charred to further enrich the wood's desirable flavors. Which I don't know if that's exactly what's on the label or not.
No.
But
So they don't necessarily explain as to why it's a whiskey.
why it's a whiskey, yeah.
They just leave it be. It's a double barrel blended whiskey, so it's just blended from the start. Corn, rye, malted barley, nothing crazy.
I mean, maybe one's like a corn whiskey, maybe one's a rye whiskey, and the other one's a single malt.
Oh, so they did kind of like Little Book Chapter 1 where they just blended them together?
Maybe. I honestly don't know, but it's implying that all three of these ingredients are in there in some capacity.
Yeah.
But just not in the way that we would call bourbon.
Well, that's a very Canadian
True.
format.
True.
And they're up there. So, I mean, this is all the way from Washington.
Yeah, they're basically Canadians up in Washington is what you're implying.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
100% what you were
and
implying.
just proximity-wise, they're up there, man.
Look, they're so nearby, they may as well just be called Canadians. It's like people who say that New Jersey and New York are basically the same. They're not.
No, that's
They're
a
not.
harsh distinction to make. I feel like with mine, like if you can get there in like 15 minutes, maybe it's not that bad. All right, here we go.
Cork pop.
Ooh,
Pop.
I do love their bottle.
Oh, I love the shape of this bottle.
And their cork's pretty nice.
I wish that this bottle, Darren Wright, was under $30. It's a callback to our Patreon pregame chats.
Yeah. So this one is from Joseph Brazo. He was nice enough to send this to us.
Joseph Brazo.
Ooh. All right.
You weren't upset about that, were you?
Well, I've actually had a lot of Woodinville recently. I had the original release, the port finished. I had the cast strength, I think it was Applewood
The Applewood
stave.
stave, yeah.
Yeah, I had that. And then this is the fourth one I've had, all within like 2 weeks. So I've gone
crazy.
from like no Woodinville experience to quite a bit.
Well, you've had the 100 proof Woodinville Applewood cask.
I got to try that, but it's been a year or two.
It's been that long?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wow, how have I had that bottle for that long?
I don't know.
I also have the bottled and bond.
We have plenty we could try.
Joseph sent me that too.
Yeah.
I haven't even noticed this yet. So
The double barreling is apparent.
I don't know if I'm fully agreeing with you on that. I think that I'm picking up more of the grains, honestly.
And it may be confusing me a little bit.
I think I'm getting more malt on the nose.
Yeah, there's a heavy amount of malt. There's some just like regular cherry kind of fruitiness going on, but the grain is pretty apparent.
Yeah, I don't think this smells like a double-barreled bourbon. And truly, I don't think it smells like a bourbon. I think it smells more like a single malt whiskey.
I can kind of get on board with that. Cherry's about the only overlapping flavor I'm getting from bourbon to single malt.
And the oak, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's that.
That drink's pretty hot for 86 proof.
Yeah, but I don't know. I had their original release, and it kind of snuck up on me a little bit. It was a little harsh, and that's not. It wasn't bad by any means. I liked it because I'm wanting that higher proof. It was kind of nice, but with this, it's kind of shaved down those edges a little bit. It is still pretty hot for 86 proof.
I have a very weird tasting note on this one.
All right, hit me with it.
I want to take another sip of it before I commit it. But when it hit me, I almost couldn't deny it. And it's right in the middle of the palate as it's starting to get into the finish.
That second sip is not nearly as hot. Is it still there?
Slightly. You ready for me to hit you with this?
Yeah, hit me with it. I'm gonna take a sip while you tell me.
Macaroni and cheese. Like a white cheese sauce.
I don't know about that.
Maybe I'm just picking up on something savory.
It's definitely got some savoriness to it.
I think that's what my brain is reading it as, but it's converted it into a very specific flavor profile that I think is just being coupled with the kind of heartier notes that would be present in like a pasta.
Yeah. You know, there's nothing in this that's like the most amazing thing I've ever had, but actually, as an experience, I actually really like
this.
it. Yeah.
This is a great double-barreled product.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would go so far as to say that this is my favorite one that we've had tonight.
I would say so too. So this is the strange part, and I don't get this a ton. If I'm thinking about 86 proof, well, you've got Jim Beam or Peel Batch.
Well, Jim Beam Double Oak too.
Jim Beam Double Oaked, and then you've got Evan Williams. Single barrel. This has got a very nice, like, initial flavor profile, kind of shifts a little bit, and then the finish is just this little, like, really short, like, spike of cinnamon heat, spice. It's just a nice experience. It's not mind-blowing at any point, but it's just pleasant. I mean, I could see myself literally just sipping on this all night. I could see why Joseph is a very heavy, he loves his cigars, because this seems like something you could just drink with literally anything cigar-wise, or any food really would kind of pair well with it.
This would pair really well with a darker cigar, maybe something that's sun-grown. But I don't know. I think it holds up just as well on its own. Yeah, I'd like to experiment with it and see what, I think is, I'd try other things. But, I mean, otherwise, man, this is solid.
Yeah.
I'm really taken by this one. Woodinville's done great stuff. I've not had a single product from them, that I haven't liked.
Yeah. I'm glad we have a whole bottle of this, because I want to come back to this. I think it's going to open up and be drastically different.
Yeah, and he sent this to you, so you get to take this home with you.
Sweet. All right. We'll split it.
I mean, yeah, fine, but you can take this home with you.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to try this with food.
I do too.
I don't usually feel the need to eat with stuff, and maybe I'm just hungry. That's a possibility too. The mac and cheese sounds great right now.
There's some beef and vegetable soup waiting for us in there if you want some.
Sweet. But no, this is just nice experience.
Yeah.
I don't think the score I'm gonna give it is going to reflect my thoughts on this.
I think I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to score this.
Yeah, because I'm going to score it, I think, a little lower than I think it needs to be actually scored. And I think part of it is we're kind of proof hounds. We go for that, big burst of flavor. And, a lot of our listeners are as well. And this is more of a Scotch style experience. Not that it tastes like Scotch, but it's not meant to just, hurt you and give you this huge honey drip finish and have a ton of flavor imparted on the mid palate and have a lot of burn and oily coating and all that. It's just nice.
Yeah,
and
it's just pleasant.
Yeah. What would you go for the nose?
Well, I got to tell people first that we have a review system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, and then we total it up for a score out of 20 on the nose. I think it's really got a lot going for it at 86 proof.
At 86 proof? Yeah.
I think it's really punching above its weight class. I'm going to give it a 3 on the nose.
I would agree with that. I think 3 is probably a good place to put it.
It's not exactly middle of the road, but I do think that it's lacking a bit of depth to it and maybe just a hint of complexity that I would like.
I'm looking for the complexity. It's kind of one note.
Yeah, I think everything that you are getting is very upfront. And it's not an unpleasant experience, but I think that if it had more to it that I could come back to and kind of discover, then I would give it a little bit of a higher score. But I think 3 is pretty appropriate for the nose.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 because you know how we will oftentimes take a sip of something, especially in the higher proof range, and then we'll come back to the nose and it's kind of changed a little what we find in it. It's maybe a little different. This is so shockingly the same as the palate that when I come back, it's not changing. It's the same nose every time.
Oh, I'm getting like a buttered popcorn note on there now too. That's nice.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 3. Palate-wise, I actually really like the palate. Again, I'm only going to give it a 3.5.
I was going to give it a 3.75.
Yeah.
Just slightly above what you were giving it.
It's punching above its class for an 86. It's got a nice cinnamon just across the board.
Uh-huh.
The best part is definitely just I don't know if it's the mouthfeel or just like the burn you kind of get.
Yeah.
It's just a very nice, like, down, then up, then finish off. And
right.
It's just nice. And it's stupid consistent.
I think so too.
There's bottles that I could come back to and pour something every 3 days, and it will be a different experience every time. This one seems like one that I can pick it up at any point throughout it sitting in the bottle, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the exact same experience.
Yeah. Finish, I think, is slightly less so than the palate. I think that, yes, it does hang around for a little while, but I don't think that it introduces too much new to it that I'm confused about or that I feel like I need more time with.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the finish a 3.5 because everything is still present from the palate. It just doesn't go as far as I would like for it to.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well, but I think there's one thing you're neglecting to mention for the palate or for the finish.
What's that?
It's got the potato chip quality.
Oh no, it definitely does.
Not necessarily. I'm not talking about flavor. I'm talking about like
you want to keep going back for more.
You have a bite of a potato chip and you're like, that one was good. I think the next one will have more flavoring and salt on it. And then you pick up another one and you're just like, just a few more. That one doesn't really quite do it. You just keep going back. And eventually you're just like, one of these is going to have enough flavoring and enough salt and enough crunchiness that I'm just going to be like, I'm complete.
Eventually you just have to tell yourself it's time to stop.
That ends when the bag's done. Like, it's got that quality to it.
Yeah.
That is priceless, man.
I don't disagree with that. Price on this, though, even though you did just say this was priceless, $40.
$40.
About.
You would have to really be looking for this flavor profile, like specifically.
This what?
Flavor profile.
That was a great slip up.
Yeah.
I don't think I can even replicate it.
I can't either.
Flavor profile, I think, is what you might have said. Something.
I'm like salivating, man. It's just, I don't know. I if this is what you were looking for, then I think it's worth the money.
Yeah.
If you were not looking for something like this, I don't think $40 is what you want to pay.
No.
I think this has its place. I definitely want to keep this bottle in my collection for specific times. I think $40, I'm going to give it another 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
I agree with what you're saying. I think that there are products that might be a little bit more approachable at a few dollars less or a few dollars more.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is for everybody who is a standard bourbon or rye drinker. I think that this does skew a little bit more into the Scotch territory, and not even like peaty Scotch. I'm talking like single malt. So and while I think that there is still quite a bit of merit to this, and while I do sincerely like this, I'm just not 100% on board with it in the way that I would be, say, a Russell Single Barrel or even Elijah Craig's small batch. And I'm trying to provide examples of things that might be on both ends of the spectrum, as I'm saying, like a few dollars less or a few dollars more.
Yeah.
Rare Breed might be one that I would pick up over this as well.
Even if you were just looking at 86 proofers.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would definitely...
Evan Williams.
But if we're talking about the proof, I think that I would pick this up over those other 86 proofers.
Really? Okay.
And purely knowing what the quality of the product in the bottle is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you are definitely paying twice as much as you would for Jim Beam Double Oaked. But I think that this is a significant... I think this is a significantly better product than Jim Beam Double Oaked. I don't know if it's double the value, but I do think that it has a lot going for it.
Yeah.
But again, there are products that are kind of plus or minus $10 in this range that I think I would rather reach for. So I'm gonna stick with my 3. That puts me at 13.25 out of 20. I know, again, it sounds like I'm kind of dogging on this a little bit, but this is still a recommend from me.
Yeah.
I think that this is the most solid product that we've had out of everything tonight.
Is this a distillery release?
No, it's available in other retail.
It says something at the top, though, of the front of the label.
Special limited release.
Special limited release.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it might be that it's not available anymore.
Yeah.
But if you do see this, I think you should pick it up.
Yeah, and even in Kentucky, we've seen Woodinville go from like this thing that only Joseph Brazo can send us to now we've got the regular and the port finish on most of the shelves at any liquor store that's worth anything.
They feel like one of my best in shows for 2020.
Yeah.
Like, I just have not had anything bad from them, and they consistently are surprising me with how good their products are.
Yeah. Big recommend.
Yeah.
That puts me in at 13.5, by the way.
Yeah.
Mine.
So we really were not that far off from each other, mostly just on the technicality.
Yeah.
We have to get dropped into a boxing ring now, and, whoever's standing at the end of it, that's who you should actually take the word for.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's the new thing that I'm adding. If we're within a point or two of each other, we have to fight it out. So
we get like some sock'em boppers or something.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah, no. The like inflatable
oh no, you're talking
fists.
about like the gloves.
Yeah, like the big inflatable fist things.
That'd be really funny. We'll convert the garage studio into a boxing ring.
God, that's a Patreon event right there.
I don't want to do any of that.
No, I don't. Now that Perry's a new dad, let me just try to beat him up.
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, go buy the Woodinville Double Oak. Or Double Barreled. Whatever they're specifically calling it. Double Barrel.
If you can find it, definitely pick it up.
Yeah. How about some tips or bits this week, Swan?
Tips and
bits. It's time
bits.
for our segment, Tips and Bits, where we recommend things to people that we've either been enjoying recently, maybe we're trying to tell people to avoid it, or it's not always bourbon related. Sometimes it is. But what do you got for me this week, Swan? What do you got?
I have been playing this dumb little game, and there has been so many people that have posted on it. Like, it's not a new thing, me saying this.
I tried it for the first time tonight, and it's bonkers.
Yeah, it's called Among Us.
Yeah.
And you can get it on iOS, Android, or on your computer, whatever you want to play on. It's just wild. And if you can get a group of people to play it, even worse. Like, I mean, all it is just you trying to deceive others. I mean, it's just constant deception. Definitely worth playing. I really have fun with it. And honestly, if you want to just leave some people playing it in the background on YouTube, like the YouTube, like, just, gameplay on it is hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it. And there's tons of memes on it. I mean, infinite amount. It's fantastic.
I haven't played it yet, but Super Mario Bros. 35 came out a few days ago, and I wanna get into that. But I feel like there was something that I listened to recently that I needed to revisit and talk about. Oh my gosh. I can't not talk about this guy. Amos Lee.
Who's that?
He is a great musician. I've been a fan of his for years and years and years. One of my favorite albums, really of all time. It's called Mission Bell. But he had, I know you have to have heard some of his music. He had the song Sweet Pea. It was on like I think it might have been on like a Sprint or AT&T Sprint. Wow. There's a throwback for you.
What's next? I heard it on a Singular commercial.
I love Amos Lee. He's been one of my favorite songwriters for like a long time. Along with a guy named Joe Brooks, who is a British singer-songwriter. He was introduced to me by Lucy, and we got to see and meet him in North Carolina back in, oh gosh, like 2013, something like that, 2014 maybe. Incredible musician, just so endearing with his music and his lyrics. And I absolutely encourage people to seek him out. I mean, he's just great. But yeah, man. I think that's it for tips and bits. You got anything else you want to recommend? Oh, Ghostbusters. I watched Ghostbusters the other day. Sorry.
Oh, yeah? Recommend that?
Recommend a movie that's quite old at
It's
this
that
point.
time of year again, man. I've got to recommend Candy Corn and Peanuts.
Somebody said that was like a deconstructed Payday.
It is the same thing. I kid you not.
I'll get some.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of Paydays.
I love Paydays.
You've got to try it.
I love
Could you
Paydays,
imagine me handing you, instead of a Payday bar, a bowl of Payday?
I'd be thrilled.
Yeah. Everyone can have it. I want your reviews, nose, palate, finish, price. Post it in the Facebook group.
Email it to us.
Yeah.
Send us a carrier pigeon. Smoke signals, something. I don't know. I'm not going to be leaving the house much here soon. So, well, that does it for this week. Thank you all so much for listening as you normally do. And also, again, if you are new to the show and this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for making it this far into the show. Swan, if people would like to do it, where can they follow you on social media?
All right, I got new things.
You got new things happening.
I got new things.
Last week you dropped the bombshell that you're no longer Swan the Bourbon Finder.
Yes, but I kind of still am. Kind of.
Which made me laugh a lot.
I changed my personal profile to Swan TBF, so Swan the Bourbon Finder,
yes.
but it's just TBF.
Yeah.
So that's my personal one. You guys can definitely go follow me there. If you want to catch up, just shoot me a message.
Like I said last week, I've got a logo idea for you as well. So we'll make something happen. If you want to follow me, I am at PRaider1492 on all social media channels. You can also follow the show at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review on the iTunes podcast app. And if you do such a thing, we will actually read it out here on the show because we appreciate everybody who likes to support the show by pushing it up in the podcast rankings and letting other people know that they enjoy it. And we don't have a new one this week, but maybe next week, or maybe not next week if I have a baby. Maybe soon after we return from our non-banked episodes and all that good stuff. But yeah, it really does help out the show. If you cannot review it, then tell your friends about the show as well. If they like bourbon, they like podcasts, and they like camaraderie and community and fun stuff. Like
community is a big thing with this podcast, man.
Heck yeah, it is.
Dude, it's nuts. Half of them will spend 3-4 days a week just being like, well, I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And then all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. They're drunk. And they're hanging out in a Google Hangout.
It's the best, man.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's the best.
Especially right now because you can't go out and socialize like you want to.
Your whiskey meetups are normally just over Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Google Meet. But, I mean, we wouldn't have gotten this Woodinville bottle without the community.
Exactly.
Either.
Yeah.
So.
Or this.
Or the Ragged Branch.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You can also find all of our apparel and merchandise at bourbonshop.threadless.com, including face masks, which is a fun little thing that we've got going on over there. Speaking of community as well, you can become a part of our Facebook community. You just head to facebook.com, search for This Is My Bourbon Group. And, it's where we ask people for questions for our pregame chats over on Patreon. And we respond accordingly, and usually it's ridiculous. It's not always bourbon related, but it's good. It's good times. I also go live on every Thursday night on youtube.com/This Is My Bourbon Podcast at 8:30 p.m. That's where you can support the show, not just by listening every week, but also by showing up to a fun little live stream. I also, like to hang out and try some different things and have a couple different topics. That's where you can support the show with Snuffy Chats, which hashtag Snuffy Squad. It's our super chat motif, of course. Check all that out. Again, youtube.com/This Is My Bourbon Podcast. And then last but not least, patreon.com/My Bourbon Podcast is where you can become a supporter of the show for as little as $1 a month. For $5 a month, you get bonus content like the pregame chats and the last call, which is where Swan and I go and we have a few drinks. We wrap up the week of content. And it's usually a pretty good time. We meet some weird people, and we have some good drinks. I mean, usually, unless they give us the thing that we didn't want, and we don't understand that. Because they're odd.
Just give us whatever.
What a strange time the Last Call Lounge is. But that's okay. We're going to head there here soon. Thank you all so much for listening. Next week, I honestly don't know. It could be that next week is the beginning of the banked. We keep saying this. Or it could be, another main episode. We're going to find out. One way or another. But until then, I'm Perry.
And I'm Swan.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.